Well, welcome. I'm sitting here with Dr. Doaa Abdel Motaal, the advisor to the head of the World Trade Organization. Welcome. You just gave a very interesting lecture on climate change and competitiveness. And my first question would be, can states promote sustainability without losing their competitiveness? And if yes, how?
I think that the key is that we achieve a global environmental accord in whatever area is under discussion. So if we are talking about climate change, if countries go it alone on climate change, start fighting climate change by themselves because of the absence of an international agreement, they will be under pressure from their domestic constituencies to offset the competitive disadvantage that some of their firms are suffering. In order to offset that competitive disadvantage, they may put pressure on their governments to take measures to help them. Those measures, if taken unilaterally, and if they start building up, so if my country, Egypt, takes measures, it imposes a carbon constraint, let's say, on its producers, and decides to take measures at its border, like carbon tariffs, to penalize imported products that don't come from a jurisdiction that is also operating under a carbon constraint. And if everybody does the same, then international trade could come to a halt, and what we could see are trade wars. Trade wars are not what we want to see, and the only way in which to avoid them is to have a global environmental accord on climate change, or in whatever other area of the environment we're talking about. International treaties and global cooperation is what we need, and not unilateral action.
And when it comes to sustainable development, are you satisfied with the progress made? And what are your opinions on Rio Plus 20?
I think nobody is satisfied with the progress made. I think there's a very long way to go to achieve real sustainability. I think people are conscious of that at Rio Plus 20. But a very big dark shadow has been cast over Rio, which is the shadow of the financial crisis that we're in, of the economic crisis that we're in, of the very high unemployment rates that exist across the globe. And that is, of course, impacting the ability of leaders to commit to serious action in Rio Plus 20.
So, in the light of the economic crisis, if you would give an outlook over the next 5 years, do you see any progress or even a backlap?
I don't think that we will be exiting the economic crisis very soon. I think most experts say 5 years, at least. We're waiting to see how the crisis in the Eurozone will be handled. We have the Arab Spring next door. The global economy is certainly not in a very good place at the moment. On the trade side, at the World Trade Organization, we're seeing a rise in the use of protectionist measures. There are more trade restrictions that are beginning to build. We are alarmed. All of that put together means that it will be more of a challenge rather than less of a challenge to tackle environmental problems going forward.
And with all these negative news, the skepticism and this economic crisis, what, in your opinion, is the best way to promote sustainable development in today's world?
I think that the best approach, the almost unavoidable approach, is that countries roll up their sleeves and come to the international negotiating table. There are no shortcuts. Of course, progress on the ground is important. Whatever the US, whatever China can do in particular to address pressing environmental problems, and in particular climate change, would tremendously facilitate the arrival at a global climate agreement and the arrival at global environmental agreements at large. So progress on the ground is important, but in the end, for what are transboundary and global environmental problems, we need international cooperation.
Well, thank you very much. That was also already my last question of this short interview. And I would like to thank you for your time and your effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you.